Killer stepfather's refusal to reveal where girl's body is hidden gives family false hope, judge says.
Teenager murdered to stop her speaking out about sexual abuse. Scott Walker was today sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum term of 32 years. He was also sentenced to 6 years for perverting the course of justice, to be served concurrently. Sarah Walker, B's mother, has been sentenced to 6 years for perverting the course of justice, for helping Scott Walker cover up the murder. A man has been found guilty of murdering his partner's teenage daughter after she told her mother he had been sexually abusing her for 7 years. Scott Walker, 51, carried out the murder in a 90-minute period when he was meant to be driving 17-year-old Bernadette Walker, known as B, from his parents' house to their family home on Saturday 18th of July last year. This was the last time B was seen. Her body has never been found and it is thought likely Scott Walker disposed of B in the countryside near Peterborough. On 17th of July, B had stayed overnight at the home of Scott Walker's parents after a family row about the allegations. Her mother, Sarah Walker, 38, had not believed B when she told her the day before about the sexual abuse. The prosecution said that shortly after killing her, Walker called Sarah, to tell her what he had done and asked her to help him cover up B's death and buy them both time to work out what should happen next. They then concocted a story which was intended to mislead and pervert the investigation into the disappearance and death of B. Later that night they drove to a lock-up garage where the prosecution believed B's possessions and mobile telephone may have been stored. Scott Walker went back and forth from the garage that night and over the next 2 days. Sarah went with him on some of those trips, including to outlying areas of Peterborough and to the area of Calbot and Spalding and to the east of Gunthorpe. The prosecution team pieced together their movements through GPS and cell site data on their mobile phones, the movement of the car from CCTV and police automated number plate recognition, ANPR, data. The story the pair invented and which they stuck to throughout their trial at Cambridge Crown Court was that Scott Walker stopped the car to confront B about her allegations of sexual abuse against him. She then jumped out and walked off, leaving her backpack with her few belongings in the car. He told police that he went after her, but she disappeared down an alleyway and he went home without B. Meanwhile, Sarah Walker used B's mobile phone to send fake text messages to her friends, B's friends, and to family members supposedly from B confessing she had run off because she lied about the abuse and did not want to get into trouble. They did not report her missing to the police until 21 July and by then they had laid the false trail and had disposed of B's body. Nicola Rice, senior prosecutor from CPS East of England said, on the morning of the 18th of July, Scott Walker went to collect B from his parents' home. Prior to doing this he went to his lock-up garage. When he arrived, he was told that B was still maintaining that he had sexually abused her. He drove off from his parents with B. This was the last time that anyone saw B. Shortly after, his mobile phone was sighted in the countryside outside of Peterborough and then switched off for 90 minutes. This is where and when the prosecution say that B was killed. He then telephoned Sarah Walker and they talked for 9 minutes. The Crown's case was that it was in this time that, knowing B was dead, that they concocted a plan and began to lay a false trail that she was missing. They went to extraordinary levels of deceit to cover up what happened, telling a web of lies to family members, friends and ultimately to the police. Despite a police investigation and search, B's body has never been recovered. We all hope that one day Scott and Sarah Walker will do the right thing and say where she is in the hope that dignity can be returned to her. Sarah Walker, along with Scott Walker, was convicted of 2 counts of perverting the course of justice. These related to knowing she was dead but sending messages from her phone and providing false information to the police, all to impede their investigation. The prosecution team led by CPS East of England presented a timeline of messages that showed that Sarah Walker hacked into B's social media accounts soon after her murder, including changing her passwords. Immediately after receiving the phone call from Scott Walker, Sarah found B's mobile, which she had left at home, and hacked into her email and attempted to access her college and Instagram accounts. She claimed she did this to prevent the sexual abuse allegations becoming known. The prosecution argued that knowing her daughter was dead, she wanted to use the phone to create the false impression that B was alive but had run away.
They used the fake messages to explain they thought she was okay and felt no need to inform the police that B had disappeared. Using B's phone, Sarah Walker sent a message to her own phone supposedly from B apologizing for making up the abuse allegations. She also sent a message to one of B's friends saying she had run away because she had lied. Sarah would later tell police that Scott Walker told her to send these false messages. They were arrested 6 weeks later. Suspicious behavior. B was a regular user of a number of social media platforms and posted every day on Instagram. Her friends said it was really unusual for her not to post anything on social media, and they had not heard from her after 17 July, the day before her murder. Some of her friends gave evidence confirming this was the last day they had contact with B. Nicola Rice added, B was not reported missing until 3 days after Scott Walker collected her, enough time for he and Sarah Walker to get their story together and to do what they needed to ensure that there was no link back to them. When she was reported missing, Sarah Walker, in the presence of Scott Walker, continued to tell lies, hampering the police investigation. She pretended B chose not to return and lying that she had been in contact with her. The truth was that B did not have her mobile phone. Scott and Sarah Walker always had it and purported to be B until they disposed of it. The delay in reporting B missing and the lies they told everyone were nothing short of wicked and designed only to protect themselves without any thought, care or love for B or their wider family. They will both be sentenced on 10th of September. Timeline. July 16, 2020, B tells her mother that Scott Walker has been sexually abusing her for years. Sarah Walker does not believe her. 17 July, the Walkers and B argue about the allegations. B agrees to spend the night with Scott Walker's parents. Scott Walker drops her off around 10:30 p.m. 18 July, Scott Walker goes back to his parents in the morning to collect B. They leave at 11:06 am. This is the last time anyone other than Scott Walker sees B alive. She is thought to have been murdered in the next 90 minutes. 18-20 July, Scott and Sarah Walker start to lay a trail of false messages supposedly from B saying she has run away. They also travel to a lock-up garage and Fenland areas of Peterborough during this period. 21 July, Sarah first reports her daughter missing to the police, who being to investigate. 10 September, both are arrested. Scott Walker is later charged with B's murder. June 14, 2021, 11 months after B's murder, the trial of Scott and Sarah Walker starts at Cambridge Crown Court. 26 July, Scott Walker is convicted of her murder, and both he and Sarah Walker are found guilty of 2 counts of perverting the course of justice. Notes to editors. The trial started on June 14, 2021 at Cambridge Crown Court. The Walkers are not married, but she took his surname in 2018. B was born on December 13, 2002 and last seen by Scott Walker's parents on the morning of June 18, 2020. She was the biological daughter of Sarah but not of Scott. Scott Walker, DOP May 2, 1970, was charged with 1 count of murder. Both he and Sarah Walker, DOB October 19, 1982, were jointly charged with 4 counts of perverting the course of justice, 2 counts related to knowing that B was dead and trying to impede the police investigation into that, and 2 others related to not knowing B was dead but impeding the police investigation. Before the trial, Sarah Walker pleaded guilty to 2 of the perverting the course of justice counts related to not knowing B was dead. Scott Walker pleaded not guilty to all 4.